Yes. Very
You,
nice.
you saw that Talking Tough and the two-man power trip?
Yes.
Well, John Pozorowski, we are live, and I am not seeing us live on my Facebook. Are you by chance seeing that anywhere?
Let's just double check. I see it on YouTube. I see it.
You do.
I
Amazing.
see it on YouTube.
Okay. Well, that's something. And it's funny, we're both looking at our devices. This is what we're doing right now is so typical of the way people are behaving these days. And it's
hmm
what Boss
I see
Rudy
it
and
on.
Sting, I'm sorry, John, what's
I
that?
see it on your Facebook as well.
You do. Okay, good, good.
Yep.
There we are. All right. So this is man, we have two people. Bo Caldwell, my old webmaster, artist, everything else extraordinaire. John, maybe if you were to ask Bo really nicely, he'd come back and do our website for us.
Oh,
And
okay.
for anyone who's watching, we should probably explain to them that we don't really have anything to talk about today. Why are we doing this? Because with our giant, huge show last Saturday, that we were convinced we would have 1 million plus viewers on. And John, I still believe that, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Um, we didn't because we failed miserably in our technology. And because
Yep.
of that, you and I think, are doing our best. You're a lot better at this stuff than I am. That's not really saying much because you know me. I can barely turn on a computer. But we're on this program called StreamYard, and I believe we're streaming live
hmm
streaming live right now. Man, I am really tired, and I'll tell you why in a moment too. And try to say something interesting for the 5 people that are watching out there. But there'll be more in a minute. We know that. We're trying to see if the technology works because we are regrouping and conveying the information we're gathering to our higher ups in the techno world to make this happen for us big next time. Is that why we're doing this?
Pretty much. Yep. You pretty much nailed it on the head there. And you wanted to see if all the platforms were working as well. So, just double checking kind of everything, make sure it all's going to plan.
That's exactly it. And maybe because we have no idea of what we're going to talk about tonight and nothing interesting to say, maybe we'll actually come up with something really good. You go into life or any situation with no expectations. You can only be pleasantly surprised, right? I want to work on that theory for our little conversation tonight. Does that work for you?
Yep.
Okay. Wow, you're always so agreeable, John. It would be awesome if you disagreed with me on something during this conversation,
I
and I
do disagree with you about something, though, that
and I
you've
was
brought
so
up in the past. I'll bring that up.
well, I was gonna say, and I'll be so shocked. I'll probably have a coronary live on air. That will be interesting. Maybe a massive
Well,
coronary. What do you disagree with? What could I ever possibly have said that you might not agree with, John? I want to know.
you named, well, there's two things, but the one thing is you named a list of stars and you included Joey Ryan on that list. And I think now you can take him off that list of stars
Oh
that was created.
no, no, man, dude, you're wrong. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not even gonna be nice. I'm just gonna say you're wrong because normally I want to be more gracious than that. But here's why I'm gonna say you're wrong. We actually have a lot of people watching now. So Joey Ryan, for those who don't know, this past weekend or last weekend in the pro wrestling world, there was a huge amount of upheaval. There's a new hashtag movement called Speaking Out. And what that is, if you're a wrestling fan on here watching us now, you know exactly what it is. If you don't watch wrestling, you probably don't, although it did hit the wires and got John. On top of everything else, the techno exhaustion, Gogo being at the vet today, and she's like, I'm keeping an eye on her. She's ailing. There's Gogo right there. She had surgery today. On top of that, you can probably hear the noise in the background. I
hmm
live on Maui. My deck was supposed to be done like a month ago. Of course, it's being done the moment we're on live. So we're gonna hear hammering and drills. And anyway, all right, back to Joey Ryan. Speaking out, pro wrestling this last weekend, 25 or 30 wrestlers, maybe more at this point, were outed in social media big time for having been sexual predators in the past. Would that pretty much summarize what speaking out is, John?
Pretty much. Yep.
Okay.
Nailed it on
And
the head.
man, it's been something. I mean, people on that list that I don't know all of them. I only know some of them, but the ones I do know, I wouldn't have suspected. And you mentioned Joey Ryan. Joey Ryan's a pretty famous guy in the pro wrestling world. Uh, Joey started with UPW and Ultimate University, my company, many, many years ago. I always looked at Joey as like a meek, mild mannered guy. Oh, and here was that list. Here's why I'm saying you're wrong. I gave you a list of guys that I did not recognize any special qualities in that went on to make it big. Like Paul London being one. He just turned out to
Hmm.
be a superstar and an amazing superstar and a great guy. Joey Ryan was another. I didn't see anything in the guy at all, and he went on to become a big star. So what was I wrong about?
I don't really think he was ever a big star. Never was on a big company. Never got signed to a major deal.
Okay. All right. Well, then I have to ask you, why didn't you tell me when I first brought his name up that he doesn't count? He's not a big star.
I
Huh?
because you got to keep him on that list. You got to have that higher number of UPW guys,
Um,
Ultimate University guys.
you know what? I always say the following. From Ultimate University and UPW, we signed more people to WWF and WWE than any school or promotion in the history of pro wrestling. 43 people altogether. It's a number that will never be equaled. So I don't know that we need more. But then again, I don't want to sound like I'm bragging either or making a big deal about it because I always say 43, the number of people that we're responsible for getting to WWF and WWE, that 43 will buy me like a medium latte at Starbucks as long as I have $4 with me. It's not worth that much, but
Right.
I don't think we need to inflate the numbers, my friend. See, I'm trying to shoot you down at every turn and just make you look bad today, John. How do you feel about that?
I'm not liking it. Not liking it. It's almost
Uh-oh.
like treat me like the Ultimate Warrior all of a sudden.
Oh my God! Let's not talk. Let's agree to not talk about the Ultimate Warrior today. Can we do that?
Sure.
Let's talk about this show that we did a week ago Saturday that
Hmm.
I left my beautiful dogs for to fly to Los Angeles. We created a new brand called Be Good. And we did that as and jump in and interrupt me, please, at any time, because I feel like I'm just rambling. Or if you think I'm wrong, jump in and interrupt me. We created this, what we hope is going to be a new movement called Be Good. It's an offshoot of Talking Tough and the Two Man Power Trip, where we have, normal interviews on our podcast. And the idea was to gather groups of influential, what we call tough guys, guys that are known in the fighting or wrestling or special forces or street gang fields, whatever they are. But they're guys that are pretty fully evolved guys that might inspire others. Guys that are looked up to as tough guys, but who have fallen to the bottom, picked themselves up, turned their lives around, and really become motivators and influencers to a lot of people. And the idea was to get this like stellar, first ever of its kind group of guys. And we dropped some names: Butterbean, Boss Rutan, Sting, Lou Ferrigno, and the list goes on and on. 12 altogether, all in a stream at the same time that we were to broadcast out to dozens of platforms, including platforms like Sting, that has millions of followers. And we thought we'd have 1 million people watching this message. And then what happened, John?
Technological disaster, nightmare,
Oh
technologically.
God! Oh my God! You know this. You were part of it. Thought of that idea 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago yesterday, and then we did the event 19 days later. I am not exaggerating when I say we put in 15 to 18-hour days, 7 days a week for that 19 days, and have it fall apart like that. I mean, it was disheartening for sure, and that's an understatement. But the beauty of it, and I hope you'll agree, I really want to hear your honest to goodness, heartfelt opinion on this. Once we actually got the guys going 40 minutes late and we lost all the live streaming except for Zoom and one platform, I think the Talking Tough website. Oh, and Hannibal TV, of course.
Hannibal. Yep.
God love Hannibal. I don't know how he pulled it off when nobody else did. But once the conversation got going, and we had, it was kind of like Hollywood Squares, right? The big Zoom room. Up in one corner, we have Rusty Coons, who, at 6'6" and 300 pounds with the long blonde hair and the big beard, looks like he's straight out of casting for Sons of Anarchy. Would you agree with that?
And he literally is straight out of casting
Well, yeah, but
yeah.
more than that, probably the best known Hell's Angel in the
Yes,
world.
no doubt about it. Yep.
So there's Rusty, and next to him, look like this guy. I know we have to be really careful with our words these days, but I'm going to say it because you know where my heart is. He looks like Black Superman, Dion Joseph. I mean, unbelievable shape, bald guy, great looking guy, huge, jacked to the gills, known as the Angel of Skid Row because he's the LAPD sergeant who runs that beat, and he's a published author talking about his experiences there. But you have here, one corner, Hell's Angel, next to him, the LAPD sergeant, and it's like they became best friends during this telecast or this stream. I think it's called. Did you feel that too?
Yeah, such fascinating pairings. Like, who would have put those two together and get those two, getting along? Then Michael Hearn and Sting had a good connection. Of course, Benny the Jet and Boss Rutan had a good connection. And then you throw Butterbean in there. I mean, it was really a great group of guys. I mean, star-studded to say the absolute least. But obviously, once you get by all the tech stuff, then it got into the meat of it, and was a lot of great stories. You could tell all the guys respected each other, from all different disciplines and all different walks of life, but they all respected each other, and that was a really cool part. And they talked a lot about redemption and stuff too, which I really enjoyed.
Yeah, for sure. And I wonder if I'm overstating this or overplaying it, but I I guess I've given to the dramatic sometimes, or maybe I'm still tired. On top of this, all my dog Gogo. You probably know my boy. If you guys follow my Facebook, you know my best friend on this planet, my dog Ramon, passed not long ago. And today, my number two dog Gogo, the love of my life, I call her, went in for surgery to remove what may be a cancerous lump. We don't have pathology yet. And she's home lying on a sofa next to me now. Her breathing is rough, and my heart's taken up with her right now. It always is. And then we got the drilling and the hammering on the other side. So John, you might have to take over at one point before I completely implode here. But all that said, because I'm so tired and so worn, I'm feeling dramatic. And the drama is this. See, I eventually come back around to the point. I meander a bit. The drama and the point is this. With Butterbean, with Boss Root, Michael Hearn, Benny the Jet, everybody that was on, Lou Ferrigno, I felt it was, with all due respect to you, and I totally agree with everything you said, I felt it was more than just getting along and respecting each other. It felt to me like a real bond was formed amongst the guys. And, I hoped for a good conversation and a smooth conversation, and it was definitely that. But I never probably, my hopes and expectations were we'd stream the world and 1 million people would watch it. That didn't happen. Like we say, we go in something that expectations are usually shattered. What happened on the conversation, though, when the guys started to bond, went way beyond any hopes or expectations I ever had. I just thought it was amazing when it was over. And I don't know if you got this or not, if you were still on the feed, because you're on the East Coast. The guys were still on, and they're all like, "Hey, Rick, can you put together an email or a text and include everybody's names and phone numbers? They all want to be in touch and be pals now." I thought that was pretty cool.
That's awesome, especially with all those guys getting together from all different walks of life. So that's very, very cool. They're all connecting. But one good thing, kind of a silver lining of the whole thing, it was actually recorded. And, on the back end, there will be an afterlife and there will be the full version of the show, hopefully sooner rather than later. So that's kind of a good little silver lining for you as well, knowing that the show is not quote unquote lost at all. It's out there. It just has to be edited together, and obviously you got to chop it up a little bit, but it's still there, and it's still going to have, I think, a bigger afterlife than it did during the live stream.
Yeah, for sure, and I'm glad you brought that up because I'm so tired I may have forgotten. It was recorded. It is being edited now, and our two nonprofit partners are so gracious. Live Free USA, National Cares Mentoring, two of the most respected nonprofits in the social injustice space. They're doing amazing work. That's livefreeusa.org. and caresmentoring.org for people who want to look at that. They're with us. Our merchandiser, Stream Shirt, is with us. We have an amazing merchandise shop up. And probably as importantly, if not more so, the influencers are with us. Boss and Sting and Butterbean. They're all waiting for the edit because everyone's going to get together and push it out to the world. And, blessedly, we've gotten hundreds, literally, of inquiries after we fell apart saying, can we see this later? So thank you for bringing that up. Yes, people are going to be able to see it later. And, it's not going to be the most beautifully edited thing ever, but the content and the conversation is there. And that's what's going to make this happen for us.
Love it. See, that's the good thing about being able to record it. Like it's, in case the live stream or something goes awry, you still have the recording, edit it together, place it nice and neat, and then obviously, put it out there. I'm sure with all those big names, it should be able to catch some stream and catch some wind and get some steam going for sure.
Well, it'll happen soon. So all of you who are on, we have a lot of people watching right now, and I want to call some people out. But for those who are watching, those who are interested, that missed Be Good, do stay tuned, please. We cannot give you the exact release date, but it will be within the next week. It's a pretty beautiful program, and John, like we always say, and I know it might sound a little goofy or a little cliche, but if we can help influence even one person positively, which I know this thing will do, then we've done our job, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just take that one person that catches something that one of the guys said. I mean, Rusty had a lot of powerful things to say. Obviously, Dion Joseph had a lot of good things. We forgot to mention Malibu. Darren McBee had a lot of good things to say. I mean, there was a star-studded lineup that had a lot of poignant but great stuff to say. A lot more positive than some of the other things you'll hear out there.
No, for sure. I think it was all positive because that's where these guys are. And I think the point of it, well, here's where it came from, man. Here was a motivation for it. I think probably everybody on here, everybody out there is, keeping up on the news to one degree or another. And, do you watch the news or do you read it or look at
Yeah,
it online?
I don't watch it on TV. I pretty much read it online.
All right, same thing. Whether you're getting the news, right?
Yeah,
And
yep.
what are your news sources? Do you go to particular sites?
Really Twitter. So it's like Fox
Oh,
News,
sure.
CNN,
Okay.
MSNBC feed. I mean, basically all the feeds.
So, of course, I'm sure there are tons of sociological studies have been done that basically says this: the news is bad for you because it depresses you.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not promoting apathy and saying don't watch it. We all want to be intelligently informed and make informed decisions about how we're to conduct ourselves in life. But I feel, John, like it's gone so far beyond that now. Now it's everyone's feels free, not everyone, most, the majority, I think, feel free to state their opinion in no uncertain terms. And again, it's great to have an opinion, especially if you have the backing for it, whether you're right or wrong in my eyes or anybody else's. But I think that's what the problem is. There's so many people out there now that if you don't agree with their opinion, they are ready to just kill you about it or over it online. And there's just so much negativity and it's like outright meanness in the world now. And the whole goal of Be Good and Talking Tough has largely become this also, is to bring people on and bring people together, that look like they could kill you if they wanted to. And most of our guests could do that, but that's so beyond the point, or apart from the point. It's this: you get a guy like Boss Rutan on there, truly one of the toughest humans probably that ever has walked this earth,
Yes.
that go on there and talk about what it is, in his opinion, that makes a good person and how to conduct yourself to be a good person without preaching about it, because no one did that, in my opinion. And to give whatever words of advice or wisdom that they have on, basically how to live your life in a happier fashion and be nicer to your fellow human. It's got really nothing to do with Talking Tough, nothing to do with pro wrestling. But man, it's just all about, I think, a way to live your life.
Yeah, it is kind of refreshing to listen to those guys talk about it, can be where they are in life and talk about it so level-headed. I mean, there's so, like you said, there's some people out there, oh my God, if you have one opinion, left or right, people just go nuts. And then you try to stay somewhere in the middle because everyone, either direction, is just so crazy right now and just so disagreeable and it's just nuts. So it was great, really, with those guys and refreshing that there's no politics, no silliness, no kind of just divisiveness, I guess you would say. Just very straightforward, positive. Not nothing too preachy either. It was just a great message, and it was one of those things where you follow it, don't follow it. It's up to you. But if you follow kind of what they're saying and where they are in their life, you probably end up happier.
Yeah, without question. And the beauty of it is, I don't feel any of them are what's a word for that's not preaching. None of them are talking from a high perch because
Hmm.
to a man, every one of them has like seen the worst of the worst. They've experienced the worst,
Yes.
um, and it come back to a much better place. So there are some real lessons there. You know, I think about that and what happens in our lives. I guess I'm feeling very philosophical today. Again, I'm tired. I'm worried about my dog all day. I'm relieved that my baby is home. I want to show everybody Go-Go, whether you want to see her or not. John, one of these days, you know about my tech inability. I can't even get my dog on camera. Oh, there's my hand. There's
Yep.
Go-Go
Yep.
right there.
Yep.
There's Go-Go. All right. She's resting comfortably, I'm happy to say. And thanks so many people out there who sent nice notes. John Orlandini is watching. Speaking about a guy who might send a nice note about a pit bull. John was one of the stars of Rescue Inc. Okay, talk about a man after my own heart. A tough guy who loves pit bulls. Wow, what a combo. John was one of the stars of Rescue Inc., the reality show about the crazy East Coasters who were all tatted up and went out and saved the world for pit bulls or worked on that. He's a super bald guy, and he's going to be a guest on Talking Tough this week. So I'm pretty excited about that. We'll get into
Nice.
to John's world. And, you know, and it's funny, like you think about life, and so much almost flashes before your eyes when you like even see who's following a stream. Um, oh my God, you know, we've had so many different experiences in life, haven't we? A really dear friend of mine, Yogi Parker, is watching right now. And Yogi is a guy that could have been a big star in WWE or WWF. He had the look, the personality, the athletic ability, just a super good human being. And, you know, I met Yogi and got to know Yogi when I was like rolling large, you know, like I say, the Mercedes, the money, the Ocean View house, and all that bullshit. And who really cares? Because, you know, would follow that. I have another friend in here, Esther. And Esther is a medical professional I met when I was in Cedar Sinai Hospital after I lost the money and the house and the car. And when I was on my deathbed and drug addicted, right after being homeless. So, dude, life goes up and down. And I don't really know what my point is right now, John, other than to say, you know, I appreciate the fact that the people that are watching right now would take even a few seconds out of their life to watch us. And, you know, it gives me hope that maybe, in fact, with Two Man Power Trip and Talking Tough, maybe we are creating a platform that we can do some good from. So I guess that was my point.
Yeah, spread some positivity for once instead of all that negativity going on in the world. Would be nice.
So let's see. What are some now? Do you realize, John? Speaking of our tech test here,
Hmm.
I'm discovering that we could actually press a button and bring people on camera. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
I'm seeing that right here. Of course, half of these are personal friends that would probably absolutely freak out if we suddenly popped them on camera. So, guys, don't go away. I'm not going to do that to you. Unless you write back that you want to be on, then we can bring you on and maybe you could talk and I'll shut up because I'm getting tired of hearing myself. Um, John, what can we talk about before we kill everybody off here?
Let's see what else is going on this week. Who else you got coming on? I know you got a lot of interesting guests possibly lined up.
Well, for Talking Tough this week, we're doing Talking Tough triple shot, and what that means are our live Facebooks tomorrow, Wednesday and Thursday. Really interesting group of guests. We're a little MMA heavy this week, which you know is something I've been trying to avoid because I don't want to be pigeonholed as being a pro wrestling or mixed martial arts podcast. But I'm also excited about it because they're amazing guys. They're longtime friends. We've got Frank Shamrock and Don Fry and Chemo on this week. I mentioned John Orlandini, who I think is going to be fascinating. And John, if you're still watching, you are. Dude, you grilled me with more questions about what this podcast is and who's going to be on it and what the subject matter is than any other guest I've had yet. So pressure's on, man. I'm expecting a good interview out of you, John. All right, good. Now we've said that. Andrew Benarski is on this week. It's not a name that most people know. Andrew, well, Andrew's a pretty crazy guy. He's the only guy ever actually kicked out of UPW for just being crazy and obnoxious. And I can say that, and he'd be okay hearing it. It's a long time ago. All these years later, I consider him a dear friend. He's a wild man. He's definitely a one percenter, kind of living on the fringe of society, but a monster of a human being physically and an amazing heart. He played. He was the last Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the one that was chasing Jessica Biel around. And he also had big parts in a couple of famous football movies. The Program, where he played the roided out of his skull, now legendary character Latimer.
Hmm.
And he had a big part again in Any Given Sunday with Al Pacino. And Andrew's a nut. Big part in Batman, the one with Christopher Walken. He played Christopher Walken's son. But even if Andrew had never done a single movie before, I'm going to predict he'll be one of the more fascinating guests ever, just through life experience. So yeah, it should be a good week. Who can we say hi to? Man, it's really good. My dearest friend Sylvia is on here. Hey Sylvie, how are you? John, when I had cancer all those years ago, I had quote supposedly terminal cancer, stage 4 lung cancer for 3 years. I had a group of friends, my brother and my best buddies, Greg and Kevin and Jack and Randy and Eric, all of whom we did a Zoom with the other day. We did a reunion. It was really nice. Been friends with these guys. I don't even want to say how many years, more years than most people watching have been alive. And when I first was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, I was one grade higher than all my friends. I just happened my best friends were my brother's age and 1 year younger. And I missed so much school. They eventually all caught up with me. I missed, I had to be held back a year. Then I went into remission. We were all getting ready to go away to college together, most of us to University of California at Santa Barbara. And then I had a recurrence. So I had to go back into chemo, another major lung surgery. And my friends now and my brother all passed me. They went ahead of me in school. So they went off to college and I remained back at home at this point, pretty much by myself. My dad was there, of course, and my stepmom. My mom had passed a couple of years before. And my support system was all gone, my brother and my best buddies. So one day I get a phone call from a girl that I kind of sort of know, who's, behind me in high school, saying, "Can I come visit?" And I said, "Sure." So this girl, Sylvia, shows up. And this girl, Sylvia, is now one of my best friends ever. Showed up pretty much every single day for the entire school year while my buddies were gone. So, hey, Sylvie, nice to see you out there. Wanted to say hi to her.
Wow,
Have to
very
say,
nice of her. Wow.
oh man, it's amazing. It's amazing. And I appreciate it. You know that. I love you. John, take over, please. I am rambling all over the place. Say
Well,
it
you're
next.
saying you were saying for the guest this week, MMA heavy, but they have other life experiences and little pro wrestling background, little everything background. I mean, hell, Don Fry is all over the map, but obviously Frank Shamrock management, he's got experience doing that stuff. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff in his career, in his life, and obviously chemo, interesting. So I think it's a pretty good group, not just really MMA. I think in life, I think very fascinating characters to say the least, especially Don Fry.
Yeah, I love Don. Don's another nut, man. Let me ask you this, because you obviously have your own podcast, the Two Man Power Trip, which
Hmm.
has a lot of listeners, more still than Talking Tough. So gonna beat you one day, John, but not for now. So you have your own podcast, but you produce mine too. You produce Talking Tough. So I want to ask you this: do I ever embarrass my guests? Because I'm thinking about embarrassing stories for Chemo and Don Fry, because I have them.
You don't, but you probably should. I think it'd be great.
I should.
I was hoping if you got on Butterbean, you would embarrass him a little bit.
Oh
But
God, no! There's like some stuff with Bean I just couldn't say. It would not. It just wouldn't be cool. Wouldn't be cool at all. I mean, like Don Fry, I have so many. I remember one time I was at Boss Rutan's wedding. Right, Don and I were both there, and Don likes a cocktail or three every now and then, and he was a little wobbly. I was a little wobbly, and I saw him wobbling toward me. So I just thought it'd be a great idea to shoot a fireman's on him and airplane spin him all the way across the floor at Boss Rutan's wedding. I set him down on his feet, and he just fell right on his ass on the floor. Man, it was awesome. That was
I
fun.
can't believe you got him up. He's probably a good 250, I'd say. He's a big boy.
Yeah, fireman's carry. You'd be amazed how much weight someone could support on a fireman's carry. Don, that was my gimmick, man. I used to do that to unsuspecting guys all the time, and I have the photos to prove it. Bill Goldberg and Justice from the American Gladiators, who's 6'9", 325. So Don was a little guy for me at my 5'4", 135. Believe it or not,
But
but
he's
a
got you
great
by
guy.
at least 100 pounds, I think.
He does. He's a great guy. Chemo been the closest, with all my medical stuff I've had, with the being shot, the being stabbed, so on and so forth. The closest I've ever come to dying was by drowning, and I was with Chemo that day. And the funny thing was, I was kind of embarrassed when it all ended. We were walking and talking, five of us. We're being shot for a sizzle reel for a reality show, and we're with Adam Watts, who's a jiu-jitsu black belt and a big wave surfer. Taurus Kebab, truly one of the baddest and nicest human beings I know. Big wave surfer, great fighter, amazing street fighter. Oh my God. And a native of Hawaii. And a guy named Shaba Greenlee, who is the most famous big wave surfer from the island of Kauai. So we're walking and talking. We get to the edge of this cliff. I didn't realize where we were going until I realized we're now like on this monster cliff, 70 feet, no exaggeration, above the water, and we stop. And the next thing you know, Taurus dives off this cliff. I'm like, holy shit, are you kidding me? And then Adam dives off the cliff. So Shaba now turns to Chemo and I, who are standing there kind of like shuffling, like trying not to make eye contact, right? And he's like, so you guys going or what? And I'm like, dude, I go, that's a long way down, and I am not a very good swimmer. Because, John, the way this was situated, by the time we got to the edge of the cliff, we'd walked so far that if you were to jump or dive, you would have to swim about a quarter mile to make it back to shore. So I go, I'm not a very good swimmer. And Shaba goes, dude, I'm a lifeguard. Don't worry about it. And he was a pretty storied lifeguard, made some big rescues and big surf on Kauai. So he dives. Chemo and I are standing there. We shrug and we both jump. We don't dive, we jump, right? And I saw it on film or video later. It's high, man, and the jump looks funny. It looks kind of uncoordinated. And I hit the water so hard I blew my knee up. And I start to swim. First of all, I come up. I'm like, oh my God, I made it. I was like celebrating for a second. Then I'm like, oh, my knee. Uh-oh. Then I start to swim and swim and swim and swim. But I realized the coast is not getting any closer to me. If anything, it's getting further away because of the current. And I was getting nowhere. I saw Taurus pulling away in the water. I did not see Shaba or Adam anywhere. And I'm shouting for Taurus, like shouting at the top of my lungs. He's not hearing me. He's swimming. And right when I say to myself, okay, so this is how it ends, because John, there was nowhere to go. I thought for sure I was dead. I was going to drown. Right when I had that thought is when Taurus turns around, looks, and waves from like 100 yards away. He swam back. He put his arm out. He's like, don't grab my neck, boss." He always called me, it's a Hawaiian thing. And I said, no, man, it's cool. So I grabbed his forearm, and he towed me in. I got to the beach and I collapsed, man. I was exhausted and embarrassed both, and pretty ashamed until I got up and I saw what looked like a beached whale, or at least a large porpoise, about 50 yards down from me. Well, it turned out that both Shava and Adam had to go back and pull Chemo out of the water. So then I knew it was,
Whoa, damn.
yeah, right. Yeah. He loves when I bring that up. He's like, and I'm a native Hawaiian, man. That's not supposed to happen. I'm like, dude, you were jacked out of your skull, 260 pounds of solid muscle. No wonder you lost the oxygen in your muscles quickly.
Yes, exactly.
That was good times. So that's the guest for this week. I feel like we're gonna kill people if we keep yapping. I want to say hi to Robert Volga, another crazy mother effer. Andrew Bernarski. Andrew is on. Oh my God, Andrew! I really hope you didn't hear what I said about you a few minutes ago. I love you, brother. Looking forward to having you on this week. Hello to Todd Kennelly, one of my very favorite people ever, not just in the wrestling business, but in life. And
Todd is the
John,
man. Todd is the
yeah, you
man.
had Todd on. He was a guest on your show recently, right?
Yes, yes. Awesome interview. Yep. He's the
Craig
man.
Liederman, one of my God, we were friends from the roller skating rink when we were kids. That's awesome, man. It's a pretty oh, wait. Jenny Lake. I want to say hi to Jenny Lake. I've been trying to reach Billy Frank. Jenny Lake, are you? Jenny was a producer, a very good producer. I don't know if she's still with Make It Happens Productions or not, but Jenny was trying to reach Billy on a pretty interesting project. So, since you're on your Facebook, if you would be cool sending me your contact info, that would be awesome. I would love to connect with you. One of my best friends ever, Eric Dietrich, is on here. Man, Eric and I have traveled the world or parts of the world together. I call him Dr. Dietrich. He's a physician assistant who knows more about medicine than any doctor I've ever met. That's for darn sure. Anyway, Vivi, my old pal Vivi. I was in San Clemente recently. I missed you. Would love to see you next time. Hope you're well, my friend. John, words of wisdom. We've had a crazy week in the pro wrestling world. We've had a crazy 3 months in this country and on this planet. When you go to sleep tonight, what are some of your thoughts before you call it a night?
Probably try to watch something comedic. Try to get a little levity before you go to bed, because when you wake up in the morning, it's going to be crazy again. So you got to try to calm yourself down before bed. Maybe watch Austin Powers or something, and just settle down. Get yourself nice and relaxed before bed, because who the hell knows what's going to happen in the morning. Now I'm reading some other thing about some pig flu or something coming. So,
Oh,
so yeah,
yeah.
it's but a different strain of it. Like, oh god, it's getting too crazy out there. So just try to say, do something very relaxing, and just try to bring a little levity before I head to bed.
I think that's good advice. And on that note, far be it for me to be anybody to give advice, but since it's our forum today, I'll add the following to your advice, which I think is very good, by the way. A lot of people these days are very conditioned to get up in the morning and go right to their device, right to their phone, their
Mhm.
tablet, their laptop, whatever it may be. For anybody out there that's listening and watching this right now, I want to recommend the following. Resist that temptation tomorrow morning for 10 minutes, and don't turn the news on. Not the alternative, but find something positive to do. Even if it's goofy as going like to goodnewsnetwork.org, great website. Or if you're a spiritual person, to read a passage from your favorite spiritual discipline, just or put some nice music on without objectionable lyrics and listen for 5 minutes to just take some deep breaths. John, I've been doing that for all these different things. I do all of that, or different things every day, for about 2 years now. And I can tell you it has made a huge amount of difference in like setting your day up peacefully. So, it's our forum. So I thought I'd put that out there.
Nice, very good. Like that.
All right. Well, John, can you confirm that all our platforms were working tonight?
Yep. Facebook,
Wow.
YouTube, yep, was working.
You and I, my friend, are masters of technology.
I don't know about that.
No, no, definitely not. That's a straight up lie. But I'm glad it worked. John, as always, I appreciate you. Everybody watching out there, appreciate you all. And have a good night, everybody. Peace out.